whatever.
Lonzo.
I refuse to say his name. But yeah, I don't know. Like, LeVar is just trying to like put all this hype on him, and it was kind of obvious that he wasn't as good as Lonzo. He was, borderline NBA player at best. And he could always prove us wrong, but that I don't think he's top 60 talent, and that's why he's not drafted. But he'll still work out for some teams and probably get signed.
That brings us to our next segment. Dan O'Shea, you were MIA last week, but we debuted a new segment called Most Likely, or whatever you want to call it. I don't have a title for it. I present two scenarios. I want you to tell me which you think is most likely. All right? So, is this fun? They enjoyed it last week. I think you're going to enjoy it again this week. First one I've got. Which is more likely? LiAngelo Ball starts the season on A, an NBA/G League roster, or B, a roster for a team overseas?
B, easily.
B, yeah, because of that whole thing that LeVar's trying to start, that
the JBL
that paint league type thing. I think it's probably going to start, on foreign soil. So, because he wanted to do that development league that's like, better than college because it actually pays the players, which is not. I didn't think that was a terrible idea. As much as I get impatient with LeVar, I was like, that would help a lot of kids that are in a financially risky situation avoid doing anything like the next new player.
Yeah, Alonzo Trier. Yeah. So Dan Beebe.
B.
B? Okay. Which is most likely? Kawhi Leonard, A, plays for the Spurs, or B, plays for any other team in the Western Conference?
Oh, Western Conference makes it interesting because the Spurs do not want to let him into the Western Conference. All reports are saying they're trying to get him into the East, and it's going to be tough because he apparently really wants to play for the Lakers.
Given the fact that the Spurs have control in this situation, my answer to that question is A. Because he can't afford not to play for him. Or maybe he could, but that's almost 2 years of you not playing at all.
But it's a guaranteed contract.
That's fine. But how much do you think you're going to keep getting another contract or a guaranteed contract, or people are going to want to be trading for you when you're not playing?
That's a good point.
Yeah, no matter what, he's definitely going to play.
I don't see them trading him in the West anywhere.
Yeah, he has to prove that he still has value. Teams are willing to, as Tony said, teams are willing to risk it this year, but if he didn't play next year, he's not looking at anything near a max. That being said, I am going to go with any other team in the West because I think the Spurs are going to look at the reality of the situation and say, hey, we might as well get something for him rather than just let him walk next year.
It's a good point. I'm on board with you, Dan O'Shea. What do you think, Dan Beebe?
Same.
So you think he's going to play for a team in the Western Conference other than the Spurs?
Yep.
Okay. I think this is going to sound really funny. I think there's going to be a team that the Spurs don't see as a threat and trade to them. Like, the Kings or something. Just get, like, their first-round pick or whatever, and maybe a player. But even with Kawhi, the Kings are not going to be a threat, so why not? Right?
Yeah. They'd obviously get more value from someone like the Lakers, who, would be somewhere that Kawhi would be willing to do, like, a sign-and-trade. Because if he goes to the Kings, I doubt he wants to do a sign-and-trade. He's just going to tell them, no. Like, trade me for a year, and then, I'm moving on elsewhere. The Kings are going to know that, so they're not going to want to give up very much.
I think what the most likely scenario is, though, is that the Spurs are hoping the Knicks and the Celtics show real interest. So.
Yeah, I would love to see him on the Knicks. I don't see it happening, but I would love it.
I had seen an article that had like 3 realistic trades the Knicks could make to get Kawhi Leonard, and it was Frank Ntilikina, a pick, and Tim Hardaway, which I'd be okay with. I'd be okay with that.
I don't know if you guys went over the trade that just came in today. Clippers are trading Austin Rivers to the Washington Wizards for Gortat.
Yeah, we briefly mentioned that. The news
Doc
was broken.
Rivers selling his son.
That's great. I love that.
He doesn't have GM functions anymore. He's just the coach again, so I'm sure he, probably didn't do the part in this. But I'm still gonna say it. If I ever see him, I'm gonna be like, "You sold your boy. How could you do that?"
What were you saying, Tony?
The NBA is a business, and like I said, I don't think that he had a say in it. But it is kind of funny that they're like, "Oh yeah, we're just gonna get rid of your son here, get Gortat. You okay with that? No? Well, it sucks to be you, coach the team."
Marcin Gortat's not bad.
Yeah, no, I'm surprised that the Hornets didn't go for him, considering he's a tall white center, and they seem to love those. But yeah, no, I don't hate this trade. I think Rivers is actually kind of decent now. He used to not be, but now he's I'd say an average guard, good 3-point shooter. And Gortat's nothing too special. And the Clippers have a ton of guards. Makes sense for them to get rid of one, and someone needs to back up John Wall. So I don't hate this at all.
No, I think it's a decent trade for both parties. I prefer Marcin Gortat. I think he's a good player. So if I had to pick a winner, I'd say it would probably be the Clippers getting him. But either way, it's a pretty, it's a pretty, what's the word I'm looking for? Low on the importance scale trade.
Yeah, no, it's
bottom rung of the ladder.
It's just, it's nice to see movement and things happening.
Exactly. All right. So, going back to what we were saying before. I'm sorry. The first one, I didn't give my opinion. I think the opposite of you guys. I think LiAngelo Ball does appear or does start the season on a G League roster.
No.
Or on a 10-day contract.
No.
I think it's going to happen.
No.
I think so.
There are NBA executives that said he wouldn't be good enough to be drafted in a G League draft.
There are also...
I would say he probably does both, honestly. He might just have enough name power, but I did see there was a leaked video of one of his workouts, and he was just...
4 for 20 from 3.
He was not great, yeah.
No. Anyways, let's move on. What's more likely? LeBron signs with an Eastern Conference team or a Western Conference team?
Western.
You think Eastern, you think Western.
Yep.
Dan O'Shea.
I'll go Eastern.
Okay. I agree. I think Eastern. I think he's a Philadelphia 76er.
I understand the reason why he would go West. I just have, because that allows you to say, well, any team I go to, I can bring them not just to the playoffs, but potentially to the finals. But why take the risk in a division that's so much more difficult when you struggled even in the East in the first round against the Pacers? Why go to a team in the West where you may run into either Houston, where you're going to get either one of them, Houston or Golden State, at some point during the playoffs before you even get to the Western Conference Finals, most likely?
Exactly. Exactly.
Does it make it easier if you can get past all that to win another championship? Yes. But there's the reality that you may fall short of even making the finals.
I think most likely it's going to be the Eastern Conference, but I can see, Dan Beebe, where you're coming from, because if
Lakers.
LeBron and Paul George meet up with the Lakers, I could see LeBron saying, this is enough, I can do this, and actually put up a good fight with Alonzo, who is learning how to play the point guard position, with Kyle Kuzma, with Brandon Ingram, and then you bring in Paul George, you got LeBron James. I could see this being a team that LeBron would want to play on. But I think it's going to be an Eastern Conference team. I think he's going to Philly.
Yeah, I'm thinking Philly too. I still think Lakers are certainly a destination that he's considering. But if I were him, I would go to Philly. So that's what I'm basing that on.
Yeah, I mean, he's playing. If he goes to Philly, he's playing with the next phenom of the NBA, and Joel Embiid. I mean, I think Joel Embiid is the next face of the NBA, honestly.
I mean, he's certainly making a case for himself, that's for sure.
But I think Eastern Conference. Dan Beebe thinks Western. The two of you think Eastern Conference. Dan O'Shea, this one's more for you. As I had mentioned yesterday on our group chat, John Tavares looking to get out of the Islanders. Is he more likely to sign with the Dallas Stars or the Tampa Bay Lightning?
I think more likely the Lightning, because they are a team considered on the cusp. You know, they were almost there. They're almost into the final last year, and Tavares could, be the player they need to get there this coming year. So that's why I think for Tavares it makes sense to go to Lightning. However, financially, he'd make a killing going to Dallas. I don't know that the Lightning can give him as much.
It seemed like the Stars were the first team. They were scheduled to meet with him twice. His first meeting and his last. So to me, that says he's interested in playing in Dallas, which makes me go, woo!
I don't think he's coming back to the Islanders.
I don't think so either. He's not going to the Rangers.
Yeah, I just have a feeling that he does not want to.
Would you?
I mean, I hate the Islanders, so no. But
no, yeah, you have to play 16 games in the Nassau Coliseum.
Yeah. And I really liked, speaking of hockey briefly, the Rangers pick, Keandre, I can't believe I'm forgetting his last name, but young D-man that can play like a forward. Really excited for this kid, so just wanted to briefly mention that. I know hockey draft isn't always as, doesn't get the coverage of the NBA draft.
It's because you can't pronounce more than 80% of the names.
That's true.
But anyways, you guys can answer if you want. John Tavares, more likely to sign with Dallas or Tampa Bay?
I'd say Tampa Bay.
All New Yorkers retire in Florida, so Tampa Bay. That being said, because they have so much money available to them, I do hope that Las Vegas takes a swing.
Wow. Throwing the swerve.
They've got a lot of money. They have a ton of money that they can spend. And, I mean, first year in here, we were the Stanley Cup. Why don't you come play? See if we can win that thing.
It's a good point. All right. We've only got a few more here.
That's what I was thinking personally when I heard that he wasn't going to be in the Islanders. Then again, my first thought was, I don't want to play for the Islanders anymore. And I went, no shit.
Right.
That makes sense.
Who does want to play for the Islanders?
Yeah, you could have been like, I'm looking at other teams, and everyone would have been like,
okay.
That's understandable.
Even the Islanders would have been like, we figured.
Yeah, well, no shit.
I love playing for the Islanders. Do you really? Because we don't even like owning the Islanders. But we only got 3 more here. Next one, more likely that the Celtics